Welcome to the Core Finance interview, where I'm joined by Dr. Vladislav Sandler, a PhD, who's CEO of Hemogenyx, and by Director of Hemogenyx, Adrian Beestan. How are you today, gentlemen?
Very good, thanks.
Good, thank you.
Right, it's very exciting for me because I love this sort of science, my basic O-level science. But you've made a breakthrough in the leukemia bone marrow transplant area. Could you explain to somebody who is just like an O-level person or a private investor how it all works?
Well, we are a biopharmaceutical company based in New York, and we're trying to change the way bone marrow transplants are being done. And a bone marrow transplant is a procedure that is given to people who failed the frontline therapy, who are suffering from very difficult and dangerous diseases like leukemia and lymphoma, multiple myeloma, and so on. And so the bone marrow transplant is a procedure that that's the only procedure that is left for them to do that can basically save their lives.
Right, and this has been going on for sort of 40, 50 years. It's quite an established treatment.
Right.
A lot of people have been saved, but it's not an easy process, let's say.
No, it's not a very easy process, and actually this is the only known to us working stem cell therapy that's been around for about 50 years, since the end of 50s.
So to get it clear, for people who say stem cells are sort of new and it's not unproven, bone marrow transplants were and are the original stem cell therapy.
Yes, absolutely. And a disclaimer: bone marrow transplant today is actually transplantation of blood stem cells, not general stem cells, not embryonic stem cells, but stem cells that generate only blood cells. So, and you're absolutely right, it's been around for about 50 years. It's the only proven and practiced widely stem cell therapy today.
Right, and the breakthrough that you made is you're basically rebooting somebody's blood system. You just do it's like day one, you've just been born, with your therapy,
Right.
Your treatment, you start from scratch. So even if you have leukemia, you're back to, that's gone, and it's that much of a breakthrough, let's say.
Right. So a typical bone marrow transplant has two stages. First stage is you have to prepare a patient for the transplantation. And the second stage is you have to give new cells to that patient. And we're targeting both stages. We're trying to change completely both stages of this treatment. And you're absolutely right. The second stage involves giving the patient a new type of cells that I discovered when I was at Cornell. And currently the company Hemogenyx is developing this technology that was developed in Cornell. And this technology allows us to reset the blood system, hematopoiesis, to the pretty much the start to the birth of that person, because we're dealing not just with stem cells, we're dealing with progenitors, with the cells that come before the stem cells that generate blood.
Right, and this seems to be a very big breakthrough, let's say, and thinking from a stock market business point of view, you would have thought that the big boys and girls in the pharma area will be looking at you and chasing you down the street, because it's a big breakthrough, isn't it?
We believe it's a big breakthrough, and we're pushing our product candidates towards clinical trials, and hopefully they will go through clinical trials, and we'll make sure that bone marrow transplants are going to be safe and are going to be available for many more people than they're available today.
Right, Adrian, I want to pass on to you here. I alluded to the business or the capitalist angle. You were associated with Silver Falcon. A lot of people watching this program will be familiar with you from that. What was your? We obviously discussed some of the positives here, but what were your motivations for getting involved in this situation?
Well, we were Silver Falcon. We were on the show about a year ago. We had a deal originally lined up that didn't work out, and I was looking for a new deal for the shell, and was introduced through a friend to Hemogenyx and Vladislav. Now, I don't have a biotech background, but when we heard the story and then we met Vladislav, we could see the upside in the deal. And I've always said, and I said when we were talking last time, that I always believe a public market company should have an exponential upside, potentially. So from going to 1 to 20 to 50 potentially. And this company can do that. It can also do that because, of course, the majors or the big pharmas will be interested. And when they are interested, then they can buy you out for 200 million, 500 million, 400 million. They have the capital. And it's a fascinating project. So that's what, I mean, in the beginning, it was purely about the deal and the money. And then, unfortunately, since then, my family's been affected by cancer and by blood cancer. And so we're very aware now. I mean, now I'm more interested personally as well. So it's worked out great. So,
right, from an investment point of view, I mean, we know what private investors are like. They want things to be done yesterday, and they want things to be, the 5-bagger, 10-bagger you've alluded. Do you think this is, given a realistic amount of time, a situation which will gain critical mass and then and go on from there?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing the last couple days, and Vlad's been in town. We've gone around to all the investors that we've put out an RNS saying, come and meet Vlad, because some of them hadn't seen him. And we've pitched the story. I don't pitch the story. Vlad pitches the story. And we said that, I know that some people have been in the shell a long time. I mean, the shell's been suspended for 18 months, and some people are angry. But then they meet Vlad and they hear the deal, and they realize that if they really want to get the upside of this, they're going to have to be in the deal for another 18 months. But it's a good deal, and there are things along the way. It's not just going from 0 to all of a sudden it won't look like that. It will slowly go up. There's things that we'll talk about that will come out, and yeah, I think it'll be really good. And the investors all have been hugely supportive that we've talked to, and we're going to meet a group tonight after this, one of the brokerage houses. So they really like it, and it's also it's a human interest story. People get it. People get chemo. They understand it. And if you get rid of that, then I think people are more interested as well. They think, okay, it's worthwhile.
Right. So you think that people have got the message about what you're doing, what it is. They're not blinded by science. I mean, what's your feeling about that?
We are trying, when we talk to the investors, we're trying to lay out basically talk using the normal language. Without much terminology, without, just a simple story. Obviously, if you look deeper, there is lots of science behind what we're doing. And it's what we're doing basically is a result of 15 years of my work. And I also have not only financial interest, but mainly there is a huge personal component. I lost members of my family to blood diseases, and I'm a scientist by my nature. I want to do something for people, so I want to save as many lives as I possibly can, and obviously make money on the way there.
Right, and in terms of the market, and it sounds like it's a massive market, and obviously the diagnosis of these types of blood diseases is getting better as well, so that's sort of making them, and the population is growing, so it makes the market bigger. What are we looking at?
You mean market size?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's really fascinating about this, and I think actually the investors would really like this, the market size is 8 or 9 billion, and that's right, isn't it? But what's really, so Vlad has 2 products, and one is a replacement for chemo on the front side, and everyone knows what chemo's like. Everyone, unfortunately, has had someone they know that's had chemo. So half the people can't do chemo because it's too toxic. So if you take the 8 or 9, you double that, because all of a sudden now that many more people can do it that couldn't do it before. And then if you look at blood cell transplant, stem cell transplants, only 50% find a donor match.
Right.
Double that again, because now you don't have to have a donor with Vlad's technology, right. And then 40% don't take.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't always work, a stem cell. So then you double that again. So really you're creating, I mean, you could compare it to anything. It'd be looking at an oil deal and saying all of a sudden the demand has gone up from 10 to 100, which it never would. You may find more, but the demand hasn't. But in this case, the demand will go up from 10 billion to 40, 50 billion, just because more people will be allowed to access the technology. So it's huge.
And finally, in terms of the news flow from this week and the rest of the year, what can we expect just as general milestones?
Well, our goal within 18 months is to go into clinical trials with our substitution for the chemotherapy, our CDX antibodies, bispecific antibodies. And obviously, we are already talking to big players, like big pharmaceutical companies that are already interested in what we are doing. And we expect that before we go into clinical trials, we'll be able to announce significant collaborations with big players. So that's the plan.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. Adrian Beestan and Vladislav Sandler, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zach.